Ah, greetings, human. You're up quite early. Or should I say late? Is something wrong? Have you had another nightmare? I know that you've been getting them from time to time, ever since that night where you were attacked by those other humans. Oh, there's no need to be abashed, my dear. It is simply a normal function. Sometimes our brains simply feel the need to give us a little bit more help in dealing with the dangers of the outside world. Though, I hope that won't be necessary much longer, of course. You're always welcome to stay with me if you feel unsafe, and I'm more than willing to walk you anywhere that you might need as well. Yes, I have noticed that you've been having some unpleasant dreams. It's interesting to me to watch you sleep, if that doesn't sound like an intrusion, that is. It's been so long since I have needed to do the same myself. It's hard for me to remember what it felt like sometimes. Though, in your case, there are definitely times when you seem far from peaceful. The contortions of your face as you dream frighten me occasionally. Often you even cry out. Do you not remember the occasions when I have woken you? I suppose you are what I might call a heavy sleeper, and sometimes lapses of waking between two long sleeps can be quite blurry sometimes. Perhaps you even thought that I was simply part of the dream itself. But that's just as well. As long as you were in some way comforted, then I am comforted to know that you were able to get some rest, even if it was interrupted by something unpleasant. But my apologies for going off on a tangent yet again. What has come over you? If it was some form of nightmare, I can find a way to distract you if you'd like. Or help you get better sleep as well, if that is what you wish. I know that this is the first time since we've had a feeding session since you were injured. I did my best to be quite gentle, even more so than usual, as though your body appears to have healed. I wanted to make sure there were no lasting injuries within your mind. Occasionally, for those who have already experienced violence, the act of feeding can be a bit triggering, I suppose you could say. I wanted to make sure that you were still comfortable with everything that we were doing, even after whatever it was that happened to you that night. But you seem to react just as you always do, so I found some comfort in that. Though, perhaps it was a form of facade. But I do hope that I did not cause you any distress. What's that? Oh, I didn't. Well, I am glad to hear it. I would not like it at all if I had found that I had been the cause of any harm to you. You are very dear to me, human, in case you did not already know. I can hardly even imagine what would drive someone to hurt you, especially one of your own kind. Though, I suppose I have seen for myself how rash and violent they can sometimes be. You have been changing my mind about that human. But perhaps I should get better at saying an individual, and not just a species. My offer still stands, by the way, to take care of whoever it was that caused you those injuries that night. It would be no problem for me, of course, but if it makes you uncomfortable, then I suppose I understand. And If I'd been in your shoes, I know I wouldn't want you to go out and risk danger. Though, of course, there would be less danger for me than there would be for you. Even so, I respect your decision, but I do feel the need to remind you that you can always change your mind at any time. Now, what was it that you wanted to tell me? Nothing. Are you quite sure about that? Just seeking out company? Well, that's fine too. I wouldn't mind for you to join me, though I wouldn't want you to interrupt your sleep for you to do so. If that is what you need, feel free to leave me at any time. Though, I will admit that it does feel a bit lonesome, being someone who does not need to rest. The night, it is what some call a vampire's domain, and I suppose that's true. We are great hunters, and our senses are not inhibited by the dark or lack of sleep as other creatures are. But there's a sense of foreboding about being the only one awake. Sometimes I feel that I am alone in the universe, and it is just me in my house with the moon. And, of course, your soft breaths beside me. I must say that I quite enjoyed you sleeping over, not only after feeding sessions, but also the way you have been more recently. Sporadically, in some way. The company feels reassuring, even when you're not conscious. To know that there is another living thing near me, it is quite comforting. There was so much about you that just makes me feel not alone. When we first met, as you know, I was quite weary of you. It's not often that a human comes to my bar, and even less often now that the laws are getting stricter about my kind. So, when I saw you, at first I worried that you might be some kind of agent, coming to shut down what I had worked so hard to build. And then, when that turned out to not be true, I worried that you might be a spy. But the more you came and interacted with both me and my patrons, I saw that that wasn't true after all. Perhaps, as I've seen with those who attacked you, some humans are still clinging to their false sense of security through violence. But I wonder if more of them are like you, hoping for friendship, companionship above pride or superiority. It is those qualities that I hope I can nurture within myself. One that I have seen in you, and that I find quite intriguing. Actually, human, since you're awake, and quite a bit more cognizant than you were last we spoke, I know that you're getting more used to the effects that my venom has on your body, but it still does seem to make you a little bit out of it, even as you grow more used to the feeling. But this is something that is important for me to tell you while you are fully aware, as you are now, despite the late hour. There is something that I've been wanting to speak with you about for a while, though I've never quite found the opportunity. I felt it was inappropriate to mention, well, in the company of my other patrons in my bar. I know I tend to have a rather calm demeanor, but I am a kind of leader in our little underground culture, so to speak. I must act carefully around them at times. Our kind are having a bit of a rough patch recently, as you have seen. But I am old enough to know of others that have been much worse, and times that have been much better as well, of course. I often find myself as a bit of an authority on how to deal with a situation such as the ones that we find ourselves in now. It's important to me to keep up a decent reputation among them. Not that my relationship with you would be in any way not decent, of course. On the contrary, your regular visits to my bar has proved to many, not just me, that not all humans are completely out to get us. And I appreciate that, human, as well as your kindness toward me and mine. It has not gone unnoticed by me, or by others. But, as I was saying, there's something that I've been needing to tell you, and I suppose this is as good a time as any, since you are cozy and not full of venom, and we are alone, and have much time to talk before that will change. I know that I've known you for a short time compared to some of my other acquaintances. Many human relationships feel short to me, since my life is so long, but I have found that even in the time that I have known you, I have learned much of you, and some of myself as well. I have found that you are important to me, in a way that I have found few others are, especially in these dark times. You have been a light, so to speak, someone with whom I feel quite comfortable, despite you being human and me being what I am. You remind me of my own humanity, though it has been a long time since I lived and breathed as you do now. You make me feel alive again, perhaps is a good way to put it. I've learned quite a bit of your life since you've started coming to my bar, and I suppose you've learned quite a bit of mine as well. But more than just stories of the outside human world, or your willingness to listen to my ramblings about how it is in here. I like your personality for you, and your tendencies, and how easily you get flustered at compliments. That blush is case in point, but I won't focus on it for now, as I'm sure my next words will only serve to make you more bashful. I've said it before, but I truly do enjoy spending time with you, human. And I know that we wrote it as a kind of contract, for money and blood and all kinds of other things, but your relationship is more important to me than that. We are not simply professionals having a professional exchange. I have fed from many humans in my time, and other species as well. Those felt professional. What we have is something entirely different, and I know you feel the same. Coming over to my bar, even on the nights that we don't have an appointment, just to chat or spend time with me. Spending the night here, even though you don't necessarily have to. And in doing so, defeating some of my lonesomeness. I want you to understand exactly what I mean when I say that you matter to me. I enjoy spending time with you and seeing you. Everything I do with you, it's filled with a feeling that I haven't felt in a long time, one that I thought had been lost to me when I turned. I want you to know that, and that I care for you. I love you. I did say that I would make you more bashful before we are done. That's all right. There's no need to respond just now. We have lots of time left together to talk with one another, or be silent. But, though I know that you're too shy to say it, I know you feel the same, and I'm glad for it. I can't wait to see where our relationship takes us next. But for now, rest, human. As always, you're safe in my care.